Hello and welcome on PACIS TV. This is the time for the English weekly news. My name is Benjamin Kwizera and these are top stories. His Lordship Bishop Celestine Hakizimana, the Bishop of the Diocese of Gikongoro, has urged the young people to be independent both physically and emotionally and protect themselves from harmful practices, including consuming illicit alcoholic drinks. According to the National Identification Agency, NIDA, more than 8 million people have already been registered, including more than 7 million who have been photographed for the production of their digital identity card. Some women leaders known as Bamutima Urugo in Muhanga district say that they are committed to fulfilling their 2026-2027 targets of supporting 8 vulnerable households in every village, helping them to improve their living conditions. In international news, at least 16 people have been killed during and more than 40 others injured after Russia launched a massive overnight missile and drone attack on Kiev and surrounding areas. Welcome to our news in details. His Lordship Bishop Celestine Hakizimana, the Bishop of the Diocese of Gikongoro, has urged young people to be independent both physically and emotionally and to protect themselves from harmful practices, including consuming illicit alcoholic drinks. News in details. Bishop Celestine Hakizimana, the Bishop of the Diocese of Gikongoro, has urged the young people to be independent, both physically and emotionally, and to protect themselves from harmful practices, including consuming illicit alcoholic drinks known as ibyuma. Niyibizi Jean d'Amour, Liberi Inyarubuga, and some of their peers gathered in Kibeho to celebrate the Feast of Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary, commonly known as Assumption. The young men and women said they are concerned about the behavior of some young people, particularly those who prioritize excessive drinking and other harmful practices instead of engaging in activities that can build a better future for themselves, the country, and the church. They said the message they took away from Kibeho was to encourage and caution their fellow young people against such behaviors. In his message to Christians who gathered in Kibeho to celebrate the Feast of Assumption, Bishop Celestine Hakizimana, the Bishop of the Diocese of Gikongoro, particularly urged the young people to follow the example of Virgin Mary by returning to her teachings and learning self-discipline and independence physically, emotionally, and spiritually. He also urged them to avoid harmful practices, including drinking alcoholic beverages known as ibyuma and going into forests to pray. In another message delivered in Kibeho, Christians called for renewed commitment to the mission of the Virgin Mary, which began in Kibeho, urging believers to give it greater value so that it can contribute to transforming people's lives and the world at large. This is in line with the messages the Virgin Mary conveyed through the 3 girls to whom she appeared in Kibeho: Alphonsine Mumureke, Nathalie Mukamazimaka, and Marie-Claire Mukangango. Well, according to the National Identification Agency, NIDA, more than 80 million people have already been registered, including more than 7 million who have been photographed for the production of their digital identity card. More reports. According to the National Identification Agency, NIDA, more than 80 million people have already been registered, including more than 7 million who have been photographed for the production of their digital identity card. Registration and photography operations are currently continuing in different parts of the country, particularly in northern and western province. In Gakenye, Karongi, Gicumbi, and Rutsiro, NIDA teams are continuing the operations, with the next phase also scheduled to take place in Rulindo district. They stated that the target is to photograph more than 14 million citizens before the current identity cards are gradually phased out in June 2027. However, some challenges are still slowing down the participation of citizens. NIDA says this includes incomplete or incorrect civil registration information. The issue particularly affects some children who have not yet been registered in the civil registry or whose personal information contains errors. Parents concerned are therefore encouraged to quickly regularize their children's information at their respective sectors before the teams responsible for photography arrive. Citizens can also use the Irembo platform to check their certain personal information and request corrections, particularly in cases involving errors in date of birth. The future digital identity card is expected to make access to services easier while giving citizens greater control over their personal data. According to authorities, users will be able to provide only the information required for particular services, rather than routinely presenting all the information contained on their identity card.
Well, in Muhanga district, some women leaders known as Bamutima Urugo in the Muhanga district say that they are committed to fulfilling their 2026-2027 targets of supporting 8 vulnerable households in every village, helping them to improve their living conditions. News in details.
Some women leaders known as Bamutima Urugo in Muhanga district say they are committed to fulfilling their 2026-2027 targets of supporting 8 vulnerable households in every village, helping them to improve their living conditions. The women say they will encourage the beneficiaries to engage in productive work and become self-reliant instead of waiting for assistance or constantly relying on others. They made the remarks on Monday during the General Assembly of the National Women's Council in Muhanga district. The Bamutima Urugo representatives from across the district were recognized for their contribution to improving the living conditions of residents over the past 5 years. They were also presented with a new target for 2026-2027, which requires them to support 8 vulnerable households in every village. Following this commitment, the women leaders said they intend to work together with Bamutima Urugo representatives to ensure the target is achieved. Their commitment is supported by Mukasekuru Marceline, the coordinator of National Women's Council in Muhanga District, who assured Bamutima Urugo of continued cooperation in implementing the target. She said the initiative will focus on empowering the selected households and changing their mindset so that they embrace productive work and activities that can improve their livelihoods. Mukasekuru also commended Muhanga District partners for their contribution to achieving the targets set by Bamutima Urugo over the past 5 years. She said that during 2026-2027 fiscal year, the initiative aims to help more than 1,500 households across all villages in Muhanga district to move out of poverty.
Rwanda's Prime Minister Dr. Justin Nsengiyumva has urged African countries to rethink how they approach investment in water, sanitation and hygiene, stressing that building infrastructure alone is not enough. News in detail.
Rwanda's Prime Minister Dr. Justin Nsengiyumva has urged African countries to rethink how they approach investment in water, sanitation and hygiene, stressing that building infrastructure alone is not enough. He said African countries need strong and capable institutions that can attract investment and ensure that water and sanitation services are delivered efficiently, reliably and sustainably. Prime Minister Nsengiyumva made the remarks in Kigali on 18th of August 2026 during the opening of a 5-day African conference on water, sanitation and hygiene governance. The conference brings together government officials and development partners from across Africa to discuss ways of increasing access to safe water, improving sanitation and hygiene, and establishing sustainable financing mechanism for sector. Nsengiyumva said infrastructure remains essential, but emphasized that the constructing facilities is only the beginning. The real measure of success, he said, is whether the infrastructure operates effectively and provides reliable, sustainable services to communities. He urged the African countries to move beyond discussions focused primarily on where funding for water and sanitation projects will come from. Instead, he called for the development of institutions capable of attracting and mobilizing investment. The Prime Minister said the success of Kigali Conference should not be measured only by agreements signed or decisions reached during the meeting, but by the improvement communities experience once participants return to their respective countries. He said the real task is to deliver tangible improvements in the quality, reliability, and resilience of water and sanitation services provided to citizens. The remarks highlighted the need for African countries to focus not only on constructing water networks, reservoirs, and other infrastructure, but also on effective management, maintenance, and ensuring continuous services delivery. Senegal's Minister of Water and Sanitation and Chairperson of African Ministers' Council on Water, Cheikh Tidiane Dièye, said Africa should move beyond simply analyzing and describing its water challenges. He called for the continent to focus on building comprehensive and sustainable water security, supported by good governance, increased investment, and stronger cooperation among African countries and their development partners. Meanwhile, the United Arab Emirates Assistant Minister of Foreign Affairs for Energy and Sustainability, Abdullah Ahmed Balala, commended Rwanda for establishing clear strategies and targets to address challenges in the water sector.
Some young people in the Rugendabari sector in Muhanga district are calling on fellow youth to use social media and to learn how to use social media responsibly and in ways that contribute to their personal development. News in details.
Some young people in Rugendabari sector, Muhanga district, are calling on fellow youth to learn how to use social media responsibly and in ways that contribute to their personal development. They are urging them to avoid misuse of social media, warning that irresponsible content and behavior posted online could have negative consequences for them in the future when they become adults. Misusing social media, particularly by using platforms of inappropriate activities, including sexually explicit content, can sometimes lead young people into committing crimes online. This is one of the concerns raised by some youth in Rugendabari sector, Muhanga district, who are calling on their peers to avoid abusing social media and instead use it productively to create opportunities and improve their lives. Gilbert Uramutse, the director of the department responsible for youth projects and arts development in the Ministry of Youth and Arts Development, is calling on young people in general to use social media responsibly and in accordance with the Rwandan culture. He also encourages them to take advantage of the opportunities available online so that they can become responsible citizens who will contribute to the country's development. The ministry official further urges young people to stay away from drugs and illicit alcohol, including locally made alcoholic drinks, commonly referred to as ibyuma. Instead, he encourages them to engage in productive work, strive for self-reliance, and contribute to building the Rwanda of the future.
At Kibeho, some pilgrims from Kenya who normally make pilgrimages to Kibeho regularly, they say that they are committed to contribute to expand the shrine of Mother Mary at Kibeho. Here is some of them.
I'm Rosso Tieno from Kenya, and in Kenya I'm the Vice Chair of Kenya National Council of Catholic Women. This is a team from Homa Bay Diocese that has visited Kibeho. We are coming the second and third because of the blessings we get from this place. So our responsibilities as Kenyans, and we had a brief meeting after this when we saw how people were contributing. We came not fully prepared, although what we gave was very little, but we are promising that next time we visit this place, probably in November or May next year, we shall come with our contribution as a country. We will carry our contribution as a country to build Kibeho.
Welcome to our international weekly news. At least 16 people have been killed and more than 40 others injured after Russia launched a massive overnight missile and drone attack on Kiev and surrounding areas on Thursday, the 20th of August. The attack involved dozens of cruise, ballistic and hypersonic missiles, as well as 168 drones, according to Ukraine's Air Force.
Ukrainian air defenses intercepted most of the drones and cruise missiles, but several weapons reached the capital city and surrounding regions. Several parts of Kiev were hit, with residential buildings among the structures damaged. A 9-story apartment block in Solomyansky district suffered a major destruction, while fires broke out at several locations. A school, a kindergarten, and a children's medical facility were also damaged. Emergency crews continued searching damaged building and clearing rubble, and authorities worked to rescue survivors and recover victims. The number of casualties has changed as rescue operations have continued throughout the day. Well, and that story takes us to an end of our English weekly news here on PACIS TV. But before we close, let's go back to the top stories. His Lordship Bishop Celestine Hakizimana, the Bishop of the Diocese of Gikongoro, has urged the young people to be independent, both physically and emotionally, and to protect themselves from harmful practices, including consuming illicit alcoholic drinks. According to the National Identification Agency, NIDA, more than 8 million people have already been registered, including more than 7 million who have been photographed for the production of their digital identity cards. Some women in leaders known as BW'IBITEKEREZO in Muhanga district say that they are committed to fulfilling their 2026-2027 target of supporting 80 vulnerable households in every village, helping them to improve their living conditions. In international news, at least 16 people have been killed and more than 40 others injured after Russia launched a massive overnight missile and drone attack on Kiev and surrounding areas. Well, it was a very huge privilege to be with you, and thank you so much for following our English weekly news. My name is Benjamin Kwizera. I wish you a fantastic weekend.
PACIS TV, the #1 Catholic television in Africa.